because he was like, oh, this is like the best opportunity. No one's around. It's a nice setting and that. And then obviously I ruined it because I was in a mood with him.
Okay, so we've got my sister on today. Hello, Siobhan.
Hello, Kelly.
It's going to be like a really awkward interview. Disclaimer, she did already say she's going to bring the tone down of the podcast. So I might have to put a disclaimer on at the beginning.
I'm on my best behaviour, so, you know.
We'll see about that. I'm going to let you tell us the story of how you and Dwayne met.
Well, there's two stories that we have for this. Dwayne tells everyone that we met in a bar. But the real story is we met online.
That's the story I know.
Yeah. So yeah, we met online, just chatting for probably for a month before we actually met each other. And then yeah, that's it.
What was that? You got a notification.
Yeah.
It's Dwayne saying, stop telling everyone my secret. And how was that first date? Was it as expected?
Well, on the day, he told me he was in a wheelchair. So I had no idea that he was in a wheelchair until the day. And I thought he was joking. Like, he goes, oh yeah, by the way, I'm in a wheelchair. And I was like, yeah, whatever, thinking he was just joking. And then I turned up and he was in a wheelchair. But no, it was fine. Like, we just went to Pizza Hut in Star City.
Classy.
Yeah, and we were just like chatting. Obviously it went well because then he came and picked me up again and we went for food again, like to Nando's. I think we went the next times.
I remember there was that minute when you were like, he told me he was in a wheelchair, but I didn't believe he was in a wheelchair.
I thought it would naturally come up, but obviously it just didn't. It's not a big thing really, like if you think about it. It's just, you know, it's just who he is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not important. It's like the least interesting thing about him, isn't it? You know, I think,
I don't know, that's debatable sometimes.
What was the time frame between you dating and Dwayne proposing?
It was about 2 years maybe. Yeah, because I think yeah, it's about 2 years. Yeah, because then we booked the wedding. So by the time we got married, we was together for 4.5 years before. So yeah, about 2 years. And then it was a two-year planning of the wedding.
Did you know it was coming? Did you have a feeling he might propose?
Yes and no, because like we'd obviously spoke about it and I was just like, oh yeah, well, if you asked, I'd say yeah. And he always says that he only asked me because I wanted to get married, but it was never like a deal breaker for me. I was never like, I want to get married, I want this, I want that. And he's the same. But yeah, I must have said something one day for him to think, yeah, that's what I wanted, which, you know, I don't regret it. He says he does because of the money, but because we could have bought a house with that money. I think we'd been to Prague or something, and I'd literally pushed him up this massive hill because obviously he had no handlebars on his wheelchair either. Pushed him up this hill, must have been like a mile, and it was like, like no word of a lie. Pushed him all the way up this hill, and I think from there he was like, you know what, she's she's pushing my arse around all day, you know, I'll gift her with a ring. Yeah, so I think it's kind of like from there I kind of got a feeling he was thinking more about the relationship that way. But then I didn't actually think he was going to ask, but I got little hints and stuff from the questions he was asking.
See, I don't know how long from there. When did you go to Prague?
It was for his 30th, so it's 6 years ago now.
His birthday's April, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when did he propose to you? Was it May?
It was in May, yeah.
Did he tell you the story of asking Dad?
Yeah.
See, I always feel really sorry for Dwayne because I remember I'd come back from training and I thought, oh, I've left training early, so I'll go and pop in and see Mum. And Mum was there, like with the dogs as you do, and we're just chatting. And then in walks Dwayne, and I'm like, "Are you all right, Dwayne?" Mum's like, "You all right, Dwayne? Where's our Siobhan?" Because he'd struggled up the path and in the door, didn't tell anyone they were coming. And he was like, "Oh, she's not coming." And so Mum dismissed that and just thought, oh, she's on her way.
Yeah, he just thought I was late from work.
Yeah, so he was sat there, bless him, on the settee. I was sat next to him. He was like kind of on edge, and I was like, Mum asked him again, "Where's our Vaughan then, Dwayne?" And he's like, "Oh, she's not coming. She doesn't know I'm here." And so Mum's like, "Okay, whatever." And then if Mum hadn't asked this the third time, and if it had been less than 5 minutes later, he would have had the opportunity to ask Dad. But
Yeah,
what happened was Mum went, "So where's our Siobhan again, Dwayne?" And she went, "Oh, he's not coming." And he was like flustered. And then he was like, "Well, I've actually come to see Ray." And Mum was like, "Why? What's the matter?" And it was like, "Oh," and then he just blurted out, "Oh, I wanted to ask if it was okay to marry Siobhan." And like me and Mum were like, "What?"
yeah.
And then Dad walked in literally a few minutes later in his work gear, dogs barking. I think he asked him probably twice because the dogs were barking, and Dad was like, "I can't hear you, can't hear you." Yeah, poor Dwayne having an audience.
Yeah, and Dwayne's still waiting for that discount on a ring, he said. Dad was like, "I know if you want a ring, I know someone who can get you a good discount." So he's still waiting for that discount.
It was funny. I always remember that. I was like, "Oh, poor Dwayne." But yeah, he was like, "Cocky, I don't know what kind of ring to get her." And I think he was like, "I don't want to get her something like, I don't want to say traditional, but like it has to be like your taste." And so we were sending him pictures, and then I think did he go with Kathy,
Yeah,
the jewelry quarter in Brum?
yeah, he went to the jewelry quarter. It's in this ring, he said, that he liked. And he was like, "Oh, I'll come back." Because he loves a little haggle. So and he took his mom to put it on her card so I wouldn't see it on our credit card and be like, "What the hell's this?" So he took his mom and goes, "Nah, I want that ring." He goes, "But don't say anything. I want to haggle with them." So and then they went into the shop back again, and he goes, "Yeah, I want that one." And his mom was like, "Yep, here you go, here's the card." And he was like, "What are you doing? I wanted to haggle." So he literally paid the price that it said on the label.
Oh, I bet Dwayne's still fuming.
Yeah.
So you went, where did you go? Was it Dominican Republic on
Yeah,
holiday?
we went to Minicum with all his mates and that. So I didn't think it was because he asked me in Dominica and it was like the first morning. But yeah, he'd give the ring to one of his friend's girlfriends. And she had to like smuggle it through customs, and she felt like proper like, "Oh, what if they pull it out and she's there and she can see it and everything?" And she kept like looking at Dwayne saying, "Yeah, I've got it. It's still there." So yeah, I mean, I think he just got a bit antsy. So like we was up really early on the first morning because of obviously jet lag and that. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do it now." So he ain't got to think about it all holiday. So he did it on the first day.
Was it anything fancy? Did he plan it, or was
No.
it just, "No, I've got to do it now because otherwise I won't be able to enjoy my holiday"?
Well, we got up really early because we was right on the beach as well. So I was like, "Oh, this is probably the only time we're going to be up early enough to see the sunrise." So we went down to the beach, and I looked at my phone and I was like, "Oh, like his mates and that are up," because there was texting on the group chat, and like because we was just sitting there for a bit just watching it, and some weird person was just like swimming in the sea. And we're like, "Okay, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning." And he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go get my phone." I was like, "Why do you need your phone? I've got mine. Like, what's your issue? What's your problem?" He goes, "No, I just don't want to miss out on the group chat or whatever." I was like, "I've got my phone. Like, what's your problem?" So he went off. So I'm in a mood with him. I was like, "Why?" So I'm like just walking up and down this beach. I'm like, "Why is he being an idiot for?" Like, I've got my phone. I was like, "Oh, fine." Like, he's missing the sunrise and everything just because he wants to go get his phone. And then he comes up. And he can see I'm in the mood. And he's like, "What's up with you?" I was like, "Oh," and I told him. And he was like, "Are you going to be like this all day?" I was like, I don't know. It depends what you're going to do, innit?" And he was like, "Well, is this going to cheer you up?" And he got the ring out. And I looked at him and I went, and he goes, "So?" I was like, "Say it." And he was like, "We marry." I was like, "Yeah, go on then." So
If
yeah. So he didn't want to say it first, but I was like, no, say it. Because I'm horrible.
Like, if I have to.
Yeah, but no, yeah. And then all his mates had like, even though it was like really early in the morning, his mates, like when we went back to our hotel room, they'd like put all petals and that on the bed, got us a Mr. and Mrs. mug. When we walked around the corner, there was playing music saying congratulations and all that. So and so he'd obviously gone back to go get the ring because he was like, oh, this is like the best opportunity. No one's around. It's a nice setting and that. And then obviously I ruined it because I was in a mood with him. So
And that was the tone for the rest of the marriage.
pretty much, yeah.
Poor Dwayne.
Yeah.
And
So
then
it's really good.
and then I love the part like afterwards, like he was like, "Oh yeah, we have to plan a wedding now."
Yeah, he only wanted to get married for a stag do. That was it.
I think as most men do, don't they?
Yeah.
They forget about the getting married part.
Mm.
How did you find the planning part? Because I don't think you were very stressed at all.
No, not really. Because to be fair, I started looking at the venues and stuff, just like flicking through, like when I was on holiday, because obviously, like, oh, I'm excited and all that. So we was originally going to get married in a castle, but Dwayne was like, "No, you need to calm it down. Like we're not like made of money." So, yeah, no, just looked at a few venues. Like when I got back, like went and actually looked at them. So it was kind of like once we'd found that I didn't really plan anything until I saw the venue really. So and Dwayne was just like, oh, I ain't fussed where we get married, like it's like whatever you want. Um we went to one in Nottingham, which was like miles and miles away. And there was like all gravel, all like on the car park and everything. It's so hard to push a wheelchair in gravel. So and it was nice, but it wasn't like, oh wow, like yeah, this is what I want. Then there was that one in Tamworth, like that you went to. I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, Moss Barn.
Yeah, that one. We liked that one, and we was going to do that one. There was obviously a couple of areas where I think they didn't have a room. Maybe I can't remember because I think I looked before you looked, and they didn't have the room to get ready.
Yeah, so I think they put that in after because they had
Yeah.
like the bridal suite, but they didn't have like a get ready room.
Yeah, so they didn't have any of that. But they had accommodation and stuff for guests. So it was like, yeah, this is what we want. And we was going to book it. And I was just like, just you're always looking, aren't you, like for something better. And then I saw the Mill Barnes and I was like, oh, we'll go and have a look at this. It's in Bridgnorth. It's not too far from like our house. So we went and Dwayne was like as soon as we walked in, he was like, yeah, we should book this place in it. And I was like, oh, it must be good if he's saying that. Because I was like, this is the only like time he's said that. He didn't say it about anything else. So he was like, yeah, let's book it. So obviously there was like a 2-year wait because we booked it when it first opened. I think it'd been open like 6 months. And like all the weekends had gone for 2 years. We never wanted a weekend anyway. So yeah, we had to wait 2 years before we could get the date that we wanted. So
What actually drew you to Mill Barnes? What was it that made Dwayne go, this could be where we get married?
because it's just like the place is just like stunning. Like everyone, even now, like because obviously people from work came and they were like, "Oh, your venue was just beautiful," and it's like the bar, like it's not a barn, but it's kind of barn-esque. So it's like the high ceilings, the wood, even the rooms for the overnight stay, they were really really nice. Yeah, it was just everything and the setting around it as well. So like you've got the little pool bit out the back, and all that, and it was just like, and it was like really easy. Like there was what's it called, a lift for him because obviously when you go in, there's steps, isn't there? But there was
Yeah.
like a good like a new lift in there, so that it was easy for him to get up and down from where he wanted to go, and like it was all separate. So like you have your ceremony hall and then you've got the dinner hall, so it's not like you've got to move out of one while they're set up for the other. It was like the room was already set up. Like we came out of the ceremony hall and went straight into the dinner hall and it was all set up to how we wanted it. So yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was just really nice, really light and airy as well. So
And you said we were having a little talk before we came on and recorded. You said you got discount. I wonder if they still do that.
I'm not sure, probably. The only reason we got the discount is because we paid, so rather than paying for it monthly or installments or whatever, or you pay a deposit and then the final installment like 10 weeks before or something, we just paid it all off in one go because like we're fortunate enough to have been able to like borrow that money from Dwayne's mom. So yeah, we paid it all off and I think we got like a 10% discount on the price. I'm not sure if they still do it.
Might be worth asking if you're
Yeah.
looking at venues, you know, would you get a discount if I paid cash in full for the venue hires? It was what was yours? 2.5? No.
It was just over 3,000 we
Uh,
paid for the
Yeah.
venue hire, yeah.
And obviously it varies from day to day. So
Mm,
maybe worthwhile asking them, and then you can save a chunk of money that way.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, when we was reading it, we saw and then Dwayne was like, obviously Dwayne's all about saving money. He was like, "Oh, if we pay all this off, we get like we save money." And I was like, "Yeah, well, if we can borrow the money from someone, then yeah, we'll do it, and then just pay them back."
So one of your top priorities then when looking, I know you didn't look at loads and loads and loads of venues, but you wanted somewhere to get ready. Was there
Mm.
anything else that you wanted? Obviously accommodation. Was there anything else you wanted from a venue?
It's not so important that it needs to be accessible, but because we always work around it, and like Dwayne's friends are really good that way. They'll help him. Like if I'm not there, they will always help him. But the more he can do on his own, the better, really. Especially like on a day like that, you don't really want to be relying on people. So as accessible as possible. Because I think with the Mythe Barns, there was a couple of steps to get in and out from different rooms.
Yeah, and the bridal suite went up like a staircase to the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, so like with the Mill Barns, all of the rooms were underneath, but there was a lift to get down there. And then everything was just like there was no steps or anything. So yeah, that's one of the main things that we do look for is the accessibility.
And what was Wayne's priorities? Did he have anything that he wanted involved in the big day at all?
No, not really. To be fair, he did have a step back. He didn't really have much to do with it, but like with final decisions, like I'm gonna book this. I'd always run it past him because like if he really didn't like it, then I'd be like, or if it's like the one thing that he had to rein me in on was the cake because I was like, I've got this cake in my head. I know what I want. We went and had a tasting, and she wanted to like charge us like £500 or £600 for a cake, and he was like, "No, we're not spending that on a cake." And that's when he had to like reel me in. But yeah, he kind of like let me like just do what I wanted, and you know, I'm not an extravagant person anyway. So like, it's not like I wanted everything.
Was there anything important on the day? So one thing I remember is the music.
Mm,
And I know he's got a specific taste in music.
yeah.
I assume music was an important part of the day.
Like I remember was just like we'd be in the kitchen for hours, just like going through music. Then what do we want? Like what do I want to walk down the aisle? Because we had to have music for walking down the aisle, signing of the register, and then I think walking back up or something. And then obviously with the DJ, we got like loads of music as well. So yeah, there was a couple of things that he wanted to put on there, but that was kind of mainly the only bit really that he wanted that much input with.
And what about your dress? Because was it when you chose your dress, you chose what was it? Was it 5 dresses you tried on? 4 or 5 dresses?
5, I think, yeah.
5, yeah. Did you have a dress in mind before you went wedding dress shopping, or was you open?
Yeah, so I was open. So the dress that I really pictured is I actually tried it on. It was that you know, that blush coloured one with all the lace.
Oh yeah, that
That
one.
was the one that I wanted. In my head before I got there, that's the one I wanted. The one that I didn't want, I always said, I was like, I don't want it where it's got bling on it. I don't want that material, you know, that satiny material, because
Mm.
you can see stains and it pulls really, really easy. And that's the one that I chose in the end, is the one that I didn't want. Because when I tried it on, I was like, you know what, this is the one I want. But the one that I originally wanted and I tried it on, I was like, oh, it is nice, but I just, you know, when it's just not, I was like, it's not me.
But how did you feel when you're trying dresses on? Because I kind of feel like I'm going to be really nervous and anxious because I always think, oh, how will a dress make me feel like it's the one?
Mm.
Did you get that feeling that it was going to be the one?
With a lot of the dresses, they had like the corsets and stuff, you know, where they had to like lace it up and stuff. Whereas the dress that I chose, which obviously it's got the buttons at the back, but I felt comfortable in it and it had pockets, which was a plus.
Mm-hmm.
I got no makeup on, my hair looks like crap, but I tried it on. I was like, oh, you know what? I actually look all right in this. And I didn't get the whole like crying and, or, oh my God, this is the one or whatever, because I'm not really an emotional person. But yeah, I was just like, you know what? I could wear, very practical, I could wear this all day and it won't hurt me. You know,
Yeah.
like it was kind of like that. But then I was also like, I looked at it, I was like, you know what? I look all right in this. And, you know, I think people would be surprised that I chose this dress as well, because like I had like the lace and it had like little bits of, it wasn't very blingy, it had like little bits like dotted over the bodice bit, and then other than that it was plain, which was basically me. Like, I'm very simple. I don't like I said before, I don't like anything extravagant. So yeah, it was just more me, because the other one was just full on lace and blush, and I was just like, it just didn't feel like me.
We went to, was it Wed to Be?
Yeah.
Did you have any other dress shops in mind, or were you just like, I just want to do high street shops?
Well, I was very conscious that mum was buying it anyway, and even if I was buying it myself, well, mum and dad bought it, even if I bought it myself, I didn't want to spend too much on a dress, because I'm literally going to wear it once. So I was never one where I wanted to go to like a boutique or you know, like one of them really fancy places, because I was like, when you look online at Wed to Be, their dresses like are really, really, really nice, quite affordable as well. So it wasn't, even though obviously I wanted to look good and I wanted to feel nice, it was never like, I need this makeup dress, I need it to look like this. I was like, because I'm going to wear it for a day, as long as I feel good in it and it looks nice or whatever, then I'd be happy with it. I don't need it to have the high price tag, because no one really cares how much you spend for on a dress. Like, you could spend like £100 on a dress and it will look amazing. You know, depends like on how you dress it up or whatever. So, you know, it was never that important to me of like where I went to get it.
I can see that. I remember when we went, and I know Gabriella was only small at the time, but I remember walking in and just going, actually, like, they were really professional. You could go in, you could choose and try on as many dresses as you want. And I think having an open mind and going, okay, I've got a style in my head, I'll try that on, but also being open to other ones, because you could have missed that dress completely otherwise.
Yeah, well, I saw it and I was like, this is the dress that I don't want. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it on, just because, like I said, I'm very open-minded anyway. I was like, I'll just try it on to see if I really don't like it, because it was on the hanger and I didn't like it, and I was like, I'm just gonna, you know what, this is the style that I want. I know that I don't like it, but I'm gonna try it on anyway, and it was the one that I chose. So
you're like,
yeah,
the God sticks.
Yeah. But yeah, and I wasn't even intending to get the dress on that day, because I was gonna get Dwayne's mom. She was gonna come with us, and it was only on the off chance. I was like, oh yeah, look, we're all off. Should we go up there? And we went up, tried some on, and I was like, oh, actually, I really like that dress, and I got it. And then I went and told Kathy, I was like, oh look, I've bought a dress, like I didn't mean to buy it without you there. And she goes, oh, don't worry about it. And she goes, if you wanted it, like you needed to get it, so that like, because I think with Wed to Be, they don't hold them, so it's kind of whatever's on the rail is what you have, really. So I was very conscious that like, oh, if I went back, would it still be there? So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get it. But yeah, she was like, yeah, if you needed to get it, she goes, just because I weren't there, like, you know, she held it for like 2 years in her house. So
go around trying it on.
Yeah. So yeah, she was very understanding. So yeah, I did feel a bit bad for not having her there, but I was just like, she goes, you couldn't take the risk, so yeah, you just had to get it. So
was there any regrets regarding your wedding planning process? Anything you wish you'd have done or not done? Anything like that?
no, I don't think so. Like, I didn't have a lot in the wedding. One of the last minute things that we did is we got that casino guy, because we weren't originally going to have him. So I think if we wouldn't have had that, the bit in between the ceremony and the food, yeah, the bit, you know, like when you've got a lot of waiting around, and me and Dwayne went and had like some photos done outside and stuff. I think that would have been a lot longer for all the other guests. So yeah, I would like, if you've got any like a lull in the day, like have like some kind of like little, not activity, or like some little
A bit
thing
of
for
entertainment or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
to occupy people, just because yeah, it's like, yeah, you've got drinks and stuff, but them entertained kind of thing, and they're not like, oh, this is boring, just waiting. But luckily our photographer didn't really take us away too long. She just did the standard like portrait shots that everyone wants, but other than that, we didn't pose for anything else. So yeah, we was only out there for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and that was
Yeah.
it.
And it was only round the side, so it wasn't like you were
Yeah,
gone miles away. Do you regret not having a videographer?
nah. Like I said, I'm not a sentimental person as well. I'm not I'm not emotional, and I'm not a sentimental person. So like, I'll look back on my wedding photos every now and then, but looking back at a video, I don't think I would do that. So for us personally, it would have been more of a waste of money for us in that sense, because we just wouldn't look back at it the way that we
Yeah.
are. Like other people, like I don't know, maybe like I know you're more like lovey-dovey and sentimental than I am. You'd get more out of it than I would.
So you had a relatively small wedding as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we only
Yeah.
had 40 guests, and that was it.
That was in the day.
Hmm.
How many did you then on top of that at night?
To the night, probably about 80, 90. So not too many. Like literally you could get all of our guests on the bit outside,
On the
where
veranda.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
on there. You could get all of our wedding guests on there and have the photos. So we had like hardly any there was hardly anyone there. So it was nice, because I don't like people anyway at the best time. So if you was at the wedding, then you're very lucky.
You're very honoured.
Yeah.
That was a conscious decision by both yourself and Dwayne to have a small one.
Yeah, well, Dwayne's not from a very big family anyway. Obviously, our family is a lot bigger. We just didn't see the point in spending all that money on the meal. So it's like, I don't know, £65 a head on people that Dwayne's never met before. So like before we got married, obviously we'd been together for 4 years, and like in that time, like there's aunts and uncles that I hadn't seen in 4 years, let alone met Dwayne in that 4 years. So I was like, well, if I've not seen them in 4 years, yes, they're family, they'll be invited to the evening, but they're not close enough for me to be spending nearly £70 a head on them. Do you know what I mean?
It's a
So
lot of money.
yeah, it is a lot of money, and that's how one way we saved money in the end, even though it was still quite a lot of money for the amount that we had. Um, it's a one way to push a cost back, is just to cut down on the amount of people that you have. Like, because I remember one time Mum was like, "Oh, are you going to invite such and such?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, I've not seen them in 4 years, the time that I've been with Dwayne, and Dwayne's never met them. So why am I inviting someone who's never met my husband? It just doesn't make
Makes
sense." Like,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, so we invited our obviously close friends and family, and that was it. And we was very hard pushed to fill the 40, to be honest with you.
That'll be me. That'll be me. That's what I'm like dreading, because I'm like, I mean, obviously there's no one from Jacob's side at all
Yeah.
going. And like, I mean, that's a story for another day. And like, we've got a venue we've got in mind that we'd really love to go to, but then I'm like, would it be worth it? Like, would they go, you're only allowed a certain amount of numbers, like for dinner? Like, obviously they've got to fill a quota of people to make it.
Yeah, because you pay for the staff to
Yeah.
be there. So I think with us, the minimum was 40 for our venue.
Yeah.
So yeah, because they've got to like justify getting all the staff in to serve, and for the bar staff and all that. So if there's only like 10 of you there, there's no point in them opening the whole venue and hiring all the staff. They can't justify it. So
Yeah. But yeah, I think the venue that we were looking at, Thorpe Garden, I think their minimum's 45 or 50,
yeah.
something like that. That's one thing to be mindful of, I suppose, when you're booking, like how many people you're inviting, and obviously what you can afford
Mm,
per head on
yeah.
food.
And it also helps to do a lot of the stuff yourself if you can. Like, we're lucky because Mom did all my wedding stationery, so like all the invites, the table settings, favors, all of that, and like Dad did the thing for the guest book.
Yeah.
We had like that printer for the guest book, you know, like take a picture on your phone and then you can print it straight out, like the Polaroid thing. So I think that was like over £100. So rather than us buying it, I think one of the moms bought it us for Christmas. So like if there's like little things like that, just to save a little bit of money, rather than buying it yourself or whatever, if you've got like a birthday or a Christmas or, you know, like a joy, because we had it as a joint Christmas present between me and Dwayne for one of the Christmases before the wedding.
Yeah.
And like, I think Dwayne's mom brought it us. So she was like, yeah, you can have that then. And so it's just like little things like that, things that you wouldn't normally use, and just get someone to buy you for like a birthday or Christmas or whatever.
Was there anything, was there any costs that you thought, like, you know, there's a load of unexpected costs like corkage and surcharges and things like that you were like, oh my God, that's another thing we've got to account for?
Well, luckily at the Mill Barnes they don't have corkage, so you could either buy the drinks package from them for that price, or you can supply your own alcohol, which is what we did. We supplied our own. So like, you know, like around Christmas when you have all the discounts and all the beers and stuff, like you buy 6 bottles of Prosecco and you get like 25% off. That's what we did. And like every few weeks we'd go and buy some like beer, some cider, Prosecco, all that stuff. And we'd just like spread it out throughout the year, because we knew that's what we was going to do when we booked the venue. So that's what we did. Any other costs? I think the other main cost that we had was obviously the food, which was quite expensive. But there's no way getting around that. With a lot of venues, you've got to use their own suppliers.
Caterers, yeah.
That's it, caterers. And the one thing I would say is worth spending the money on is a photographer, like or videographer, or both, whatever, whichever you want, because you need someone who's, you know, like, I couldn't hardly remember some stuff from the day. So like looking back at the photos, you want good photos to be able to look back, and you know, you don't want something like someone half-arsing it. And like, I know someone who had like this really cheap photographer, and all of their pictures are them, like, you know, when you're talking, you're mid-talking, like, oh, and like you're all blinking and stuff. It's all like that, and it's all blurry. So I think it's worth spending the money on a good photographer. Obviously, do your research, look if you like who you're looking for, look at their portfolio, because I think we met up with a couple, and the one that we went with, like, we just clicked with her really well because we met her before as well. So
Amy, you did your photos, did she do your did you do an engagement session with her as well?
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Did you find that beneficial or not?
Me and Twain don't like having our photos taken either, so we're very awkward people. So so it was, with it just being me and Dwayne, it was very awkward for us, but I feel like the photographer got a lot out of it, because I think it was the first wheelchair, I don't know, wedding or whatever that she'd done, so she wanted to try a few different angles just to see like how I look, like standing next to him, like try and put me in different light. So I think she got a lot out of it, but like we look at the photos and we just cringe and we're like, oh my God, these are horrible. But like I showed Mum and she goes, oh, these are lovely, these are. I was like, Mum, they're horrible, you're not having them. So obviously she downloaded them and kept them. So
well, I think we're all a bit self-conscious and we don't really like having our picture taken, especially when we're around people. You can be very much like very conscious of what's happening. But no, at least she got something out of it, and
yeah,
like it's benefited your photo album at the end of it, which is good.
Yeah.
How quickly did the day go for you, your wedding day?
I remember like I was sitting down for the food, and like that's when I was like, right, I'm gonna start having a drink, and I got a bit tipsy, like just because I hadn't really eaten anything. And then like once the food was over, it was just gone, you know, like for the party bit, it was just gone. Then it was like, it was the next day, it was just gone in a flash. Like I hardly, like, I talk to Dwayne sometimes about it because I don't even remember half the stuff that happened. I was like, yeah, because you was wasted most of the time. Because like we got free drinks from the bar and everyone was just getting us drinks and that, but I didn't drink at the reception bit. I only really drank with my dinner. So I was just like, yeah, like, talking to everyone, and Dwayne was there just like having a dance, like what he does like on a night out. So he was like, I don't remember anything from the night.
When it came to choosing your music, because you did a first dance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Between, was there a specific song? Was it your song, or was it just like, we're gonna dance to anything? Because you're not soppy, so it's not going to be like Ed Sheeran song or anything, is it?
It was never going to be anything soppy. So we had our first dance song, which was, I think, Becky Hill, because I like her and I liked the song. And like we'd gone through loads of songs and we went through like the oldies, like Luther Vandross and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I don't really listen to them. Like I like them, but they don't mean anything to me. And like the stuff he liked, I was like, oh, I don't like it, and vice versa, because we've got totally opposite music taste. Like he's into like hip hop, rap, and I'm like more like rock, alternative, indie kind of stuff. So we're very opposite on our music tastes. So he was, I don't care what we dance to. He was like, just do whatever you want. I was like, okay, thanks. So yeah, we had the Becky Hill song, and then our second song, which is the only song that which is kind of like, I don't know what you'd say is our song, because every time he used to pick me up when we was that like still lived at our parents, every time I got into his car, this song was on, and it was Fetty Wap. So we put that on as the second, so like the first song after the first dance, and like all his mates and everyone was like, oh my god, like proper jumping around, and like the DJ obviously loved it. He was like, oh my god, this is sick. And because there was we got a good photo of all the lads like just dancing, because like Amy managed to get on the dance floor and there's all like, oh, gun fingers and everything. And yeah, so it proper popped up, and that's the song that we wanted for our first dance, but it was like, oh no, we can't have that, like
rein it back a bit.
Yeah, because like, it was like, because on the first dance we was like obviously dancing, and I'm awkward anyway, and I was like, come on everyone, get in, and everyone was like, no, this is your first. I was like, look, come on everyone, come dance, and I was like, no, it's your first dance. I was like, oh for God's sake, just come on. So yeah, the second song popped off a lot more, so yeah, that was better. Everyone just dived on the floor as soon as it came on. It was just like, yeah. So that was kind of the song that probably meant more to us than the first song. So
yeah, there was a core memory made there. I think there was a lot of photos, a lot of videos.
Yeah, so yeah, that was good. And I remember like because obviously we gave like a massive list to the DJ of like, basically you can curate your own music now with DJs. Like you're like, yeah, go on their website and you can like add all these songs and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's what we did. And obviously we had a lot of Dwayne songs, and his was all first, because we did like, oh, this is all the stuff that he likes, this is all the stuff I like. So I think the bloke was just there like playing all the Dwayne stuff. So like him and his mates was all like, yeah, like proper loving it. And I remember one of my mates from work was like, am I all right to go tell the DJ to try play something else, because we can't dance to this? I was like, yeah, fill your boots. And like she went up, she goes, I've asked him like 3 times, can you go and tell him? So I had to go up and say, can you play something else? Because he was loving that Dwayne and all his mates were like just like dancing like idiots around the front. So yeah. So I had to go tell him to like change the music, because no one else could dance to it.
Everyone else was like, I can't keep doing good cymbals. Pretending I'm a rapper on the dance floor. Is there anything that you missed out on when, like, I don't know, dancing or having your photos taken? Like, did you miss out on I don't know, your pork rolls or anything like that?
I didn't eat any of the evening food. Like when everyone got there, I didn't have any of that. Apparently it was really nice. People,
It was delicious.
They were like, oh my god, it was amazing. They even took some home. Yeah, no, I wish I thought about like the I don't know, I suppose the posed photos more, because obviously we've got the photos with like Dwayne's family, a lot. We've got them all together, but then I haven't got a photo with like the groomsmen. So like all of Dwayne's friends, like all of his mates.
Or me and you and
or
Dean.
me and you. Like I've got one of me, you, and like Andy, but I've got one of me and you, or like of me and Dean. you know, or like me, Dean and Jaden or whatever. So like there's like things like, obviously we sat down before and said, this is what you want, but I didn't really think about it. And I was just like, yeah, standard, just do my family, his family together. And that's what we did. But then I think we've got one with him and his nan, because obviously we was very conscious that we wanted one with his nan. But then I didn't really think too much like, oh yeah, I want one with me and Dean, or me and you, just us two, you know. And that's kind of like what I'd wish I'd thought about a bit more, because now the dog's doing something. I just heard about it. Yeah, so like I look back on it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got one with him and his mum and dad, but I haven't got one with me, Dwayne, mum and our mum and dad, but I've got one with his mum and dad. So it's just like weird like that. But I think on the day, like you just don't think about it, and it's just like, yeah, we'll get it all done, and get back to the place. So like we're not taken out from there as long.
Yeah, you're just really conscious of time, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I think if you've got a shot list, I mean, you obviously had specific ones that you had in mind, but I think if people are looking at wanting certain shots, make sure you write them down.
Yeah.
Give a list to your photographer, and they'll like go,
Yeah.
well, we can do all this now.
They just have the standard ones, like you and your family, you and his family, all of you together. And then if you want anything else, then you kind of have to tell them. But like I say, I'm not a very like sentimental person. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm easy. And then, but now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I haven't got those photos now because I just didn't think about it, because I didn't think I'd want them. But you know, obviously, you know, things change, and
I do, yeah.
Yeah, can't go back on that now. So yeah.
And I like that you did have the posed ones, but you also had like natural photos as well.
I think for the most of them were all the natural ones. You could hardly see that she was there, to be honest. Because she was just like a little creep in the corner, like just taking
A little creep. I was thinking of like a little pixie or something, go around
No,
taking photos. A little creep in the corner.
little creep in the corner, just taking just taking photos. So yeah, and like there's some photos before the wedding, like when people were coming in, and she was up in like the rafters, like taking photos. I'm like, how the hell did she get these? And like my mate Laura, she was like, oh, I don't even remember that. Like I was like, yeah, because you was walking in, like you didn't even know she was there. And she's just taking photos of everyone just like socializing and all that. So and that's one of the reasons we chose her, because she was very good at capturing like realistic moments kind of thing, and it wasn't really posed apart from obviously the main ones. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we picked her in the first place.
Yeah, having those natural reactions and
Yeah.
those, capturing those natural moments, like mum dancing and stuff like that. Do you have any other money saving tips?
Everyone's situation's different. Me and Dwayne are very fortunate, like we have all right jobs. Any spare money we can save it, because we don't have kids that we have to spend money on, and it's basically our lifestyle that we're funding. So like if we haven't got money to go out for food, then we just don't go out for food. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got kids and you need the money for like, I don't know, like nappies or food for them, you've got to spend that money. But we're very fortunate with that. But we tried every month living on what we can. So like we would budget like, okay, I don't know, I can't remember how much we used to save, but I don't know, let's say £200 every month, you can save that. And you do that religiously every month and save it. And then if you had anything spare at the end of that month, save that as well. We paid the whole wedding off before we had the wedding. So we didn't have any credit cards or anything like that. We only like we lent a bit of money off his mom for the venue so we could get the discount. But we didn't put it on a credit card or anything. So when the wedding came, we had nothing outstanding. Everything was paid, even the honeymoon was paid. But yeah, we still went out to eat because, you know, food is life, isn't it? So, you know, that's all me and Twain do, is we just eat. So yeah, so we'd go out to food and stuff. But yeah, anything big, like we literally didn't touch our first house for 2 years. So like we had like just stuff falling off the walls or whatever, because any spare money we had would save it rather than spending it on the house. Because Dwayne was like, okay, so we're engaged, so we either spend money on the house or we spend money on the wedding. So like I was like, yeah, let's get married first then, and then we'll do the house. And that's what we did.
Which kind of worked in your favour in the end, because after was it a year or two, you then got your new house?
No, well, we was in the old house for 4 years.
Yeah, bloody hell, I didn't
Yeah.
see him that long. Oh, when it comes, idiot. When it comes to, um, when it comes to paying suppliers, it all comes at the end.
Mm.
How did you work that one? Did you just have a savings pot and just pay everyone at the end?
We paid the deposits, obviously, so you can secure your dates. But then, because obviously we were saving religiously every month, as soon as we had, I don't know, say, I think the photographer was like over 1,000, just over £1,000. So once we had that money in the savings, we'd then be like, right, we've got that, we're gonna go pay it. So as soon as we had the money for some, all up for the flowers, I don't know, that was like, I can't remember how much, but as soon as we had the money for whatever, we'd then pay the rest of it. So it was all done. We didn't pay anything in installments or at the deadline. I think the only thing we did at the deadline was the casino person, because that was a last minute thing. But everything else, like as soon as we had the money, we would just pay it straight off.
Yeah, I know most the normal suppliers, I don't know if it's changed since COVID, will ask for it like 6 to 8 weeks before the wedding. And
Yeah, yeah,
then I know a couple of my friends, they've paid all of their costs in that time period. And I'm
yeah,
like, surely that would stress me out knowing that, hold on a minute, I've paid only deposits on everything and
yeah.
then paying it all at the end.
I knew someone who they'd been married for like 5 or 6 years, and they were like, yeah, we're still paying off the wedding, because they put everything on credit cards just to be able to pay all the suppliers. Because obviously you put your deposit down, and then it's like, you just, some people are like, oh, I've secured it, I don't need to, and then they'll get the reminder, you need to pay your final balance by this date. So they'll just put it all on credit cards. And I remember, like, even Dwayne was like, how are they still paying for their wedding like 5 years after the wedding? So, but some people have to do that because, it's the way that the world works at like
Yeah.
nowadays, is that everything goes on a credit card. So the less you can put on a credit card, the better. But sometimes you just got to. So
Yeah, it depends on your financial
yeah,
situation, and just have a look for the best interest rates
yeah,
for you, the best deals for you, because as you said, you don't want to be
mm,
5, 6, even 10 years down the line still paying off for a wedding.
yeah,
And especially paying off for a wedding, you may be regretting having certain things at your wedding.
yeah,
So you'd be
yeah.
like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Mm.
Like, make sure you're happy and comfortable with it at the end of the day.
Or like before you even book your day, like you set your date, because you're gonna have a rough idea of how much the venue's gonna be, how much food will probably be. Obviously you pay your registrar, like all the little fees that you don't think of. Then you got photographer, whatever. Kind of get a ballpark figure of what it is, and see ideally what can you save every month. So this is what me and Dwayne did. So it was like, we can save this much every month. This is how much it's probably going to come to. If we save this every month, it's going to take us 2 years to pay it all off. And that's kind of like how we got with 2 years. So we booked it, and then from booking it and to the wedding day was 2 years basically.
Good way of doing it,
Yeah. So
I
if
think.
like you can only save like £100 a month, then it just means that you'll just have to book your wedding a bit further in the future than like a year, or say like next year or the year after. You'll just have to push it back another year or two, just because you physically can't pay it. If you don't want to put anything on a credit card, then that would be the way that you'd have to do it.
Did you go over budget? Did it stay on budget?
I think we was kind of like on budget, and that's including the honeymoon as well. We like we tell everyone like, oh, we paid this much for the wedding, but it wasn't really that much because we just include the honeymoon on there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we was probably like on, but obviously the less we could pay for it, the better, obviously. But we didn't want to go over like a certain figure, so we didn't. So,
That's good.
but that's good because we did a lot of the stuff ourselves. So like I said, like all the wedding stationery, making it all the table settings and stuff I did myself. So yeah, all of that. Anything you can do yourself just to cut costs, and yeah, the better.
Did you have a theme or anything like that in mind when you were doing your stationery or your
Um,
designs and colour
the only
schemes?
thing I wanted was just orange, like a burnt orange and green. Those are my favourite colours. And even to this day, Dwayne's like, I didn't even know that there was a theme. I was like, are you kidding me?
So
I like, look at my
observant.
bouquet, look at everything. It was like everything was orange and green. Yeah, but I didn't go like overboard with it. So like I didn't have like all the tablecloths were orange and green or whatever. It was just like little hints of it. So that kind of cut things down. So you're not having to like find a supplier who can do like a certain colour that you want, or the like. And luckily with the venue, all the chairs were really nice, so you didn't have to pay for all the covers. So yeah, it's like if you get like a really nice venue where you haven't got to cover a lot of stuff up, it's worth doing it. So you haven't got to pay the extra to cover it up with accessories and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's where all the costs go, isn't it? On all the
Yeah.
details that you didn't necessarily think about, such as
Mm.
chair covers or charger plates or
Yeah.
stuff like that. No,
Mm.
definitely. Do you have any final advice or any tips or tricks or anything like that for any of my listeners?
Well, I know what Dwayne's advice would be is don't get married.
I knew that was covered.
Yeah, just do as much as you can yourself, like DIY anything. Even if you think you can't do it, just have a go at it. If it turns out crap, then see if see if you've got like a friend who can do it, who's all right on computers, like even just like your invites, because I know relatively you can get in cheap invites now from like certain like print companies. So like if you can get like a cheap one like that, like an invite's an invite, no one cares. Like it's just a bit of paper telling them the date. So it's you ain't got to spend hundreds and hundreds on invites when someone's literally going to throw it away. And don't invite people that you don't know.
You don't
Or
know. You haven't seen for like
yeah,
ever.
like, and especially if your partner has not met that family member, what is the point in them going? It does cause a little bit of friction. But my way of thinking is, well, I've not seen you for at least 4 years. I'm probably not going to see you for another 4 years. So just for you to be a little bit grumpy at me because you're not coming to my day wedding, to the day do, then, it's worth the little bit of friction. For me, it was anyway. Don't feel pressured by other family members to invite people that you don't want there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the main one as well.
And how do you get around? Because you had some people cancel or say they couldn't come. Like, I think it was the
Yeah,
night
basically
before.
what happened with me, I invited all the family to the evening do, and not one of them turned up. So, I was like, well, it's no skin off my nose. Like all my friends and family, like my work people came to the night. At the time, I was kind of like a bit like upset that they didn't come, because every single one of them said, yeah, I'll be there. And then not one of them turned up. And I was just like, at the end of the day, I've not seen them for so many years. I'm not going to see them for another so many years. I'll probably, as horrible as it is to say, I'll probably see them at a funeral more than likely, So, it was just like one of them. And I'm like, and plus I know life gets in the way. With me, I'm quite resilient that way and I have a thick skin that way. But obviously some other people are not like that. So, it sometimes pays just to not care.
Just don't care. A good one
Yeah.
is don't expect people to behave the way you expect, like the way you behave towards other people, because they're not going to reciprocate that at
Yeah.
all.
But like I don't hold it against them for not coming. Like I say, life gets in the way. Like I don't hold it against them because I've not seen them for years. They've not seen me for years. So it's like, why would they go out of their way to come see me, for a night? This is why you don't invite people that you don't interact with on a daily or like weekly basis, because they've got their own lives going on, and it's like they don't feel like they owe you to come out to see you because they've not seen you for so many years. So it's like one of them.
I think it's just a bit annoying, because if you'd have known they wouldn't have been turning up, you could have invited somebody else to fill that space and you wouldn't be losing out on whatnot.
But I would have ordered less food for one, but everyone still ate it, so
it's always a bonus.
Yeah. Especially with the people I know at work.
God, I think bloody Jacob went, because in the morning you had crispy creme donuts, didn't you? For your what was it?
The wedding cake.
Wedding cake.
Yeah.
And in the morning he went for a walk around, a little nosy around. He was like, there's still donuts left. And he came back with like a donut each, and they kept coming back with donuts. I was like, don't eat them. I don't know if you're allowed them. He was like, yeah, they said we can have these.
Yes. Because they brought them all back after, like, when they was setting up for the next wedding. And obviously me and Dwayne went to a spa like the day after. So mom and dad took all the donuts, and dad was smashing off all those was it the strawberry cream ones? It
Oh,
was.
they were
Yeah,
delicious.
it was
They
like he
were.
was smashing all them off, and we came back to him like a couple of days later. It was like, oh, they're probably all soft and gone off. You might as well leave me. Huh?
Meaning I've eaten them all already.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were really nice though.
Yes, I think the number one tip is try and do it all yourself. Save money and do things yourself. Also be conscious of the time, because I think we drastically underestimate the time it takes to do things such as DIY projects and stuff. Tip is, if you've got people who can do it quicker, get them to do it instead of struggling yourself. And don't invite people that you don't see on the regular.
And if you do invite them and they don't turn up, don't take it to heart.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
just eat the rest of the cakes or whatever. At least it didn't go to waste.
Yeah. And like, if people don't turn up, don't let it ruin your day. Like, that day's there. Like, the people who, this is what mom said to me, she goes, the people who are there, who are meant to be there, are there. If anyone else wanted to turn up, they would have made the time for you. So, you know, if you send those invites out and people they RSVP, say, yeah, I'm coming, and then last minute they're like, no, I'm not, you know, don't take it to heart. Like, some people are knobs sometimes, but then sometimes things happen in life. Just don't take it to heart, and you know, you'll be better for it. And just don't let it affect your day. If you was expecting to see someone and they didn't turn up, just don't let it ruin your day, because at the end of the day, the people who are there for you. So you know, it's all you can ask for.
And effectively, once that day has been and gone, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And being on bad terms with someone just for being on bad terms with them is just pointless.
Yeah, it's worthless. Yeah, you're just going to ruin relationships, and that's not the whole reason for having a wedding. So yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you for your time today, Siobhan.
All right.
And that beautiful face of yours.